In today's episode of HR Visionaries, we talk to Aurélie from MBDA. We talk about how HR can make decisions based on data rather than on intuition. Stay tuned. Welcome to HR Visionaries, the show where we discover the truth behind contemporary HR. I'm your host, Benjamin. Join me as I unfold today's talent ecosystem with HR innovators from around the globe. Welcome to the latest episode of HR Visionaries. I'm very much looking forward to my guest today. Aurélie, it's great to have you.
Thank you. Hi, Ben. Really nice being with you. Thank you for the invitation. Really looking forward for the discussion.
Me too, indeed. Aurélie, can you tell us a bit about yourself? Who are you?
I joined MBDA 12 years ago as an apprentice in the talent management department, where I worked on really high-level HR processes like talent review, succession planning. I also implemented part of the annual annual development meeting between employee and managers in 2014 after a French law passed actually to give us this opportunity to develop this specific discussion. Then I moved to business partnering, HR business partner for the electrical engineering department, part of it, for about 2 years, where I learned a lot with all of these passion people. I really enjoy this experience. And then I moved to recruitment because I think it was really important for me to uh, get my hands, if I could say, in a really specific techniques for interviews and recruitment. And in the meantime, also, it was the opportunity for me to move because the company started to transform itself. We actually had more than 500 people to recruit back in the day, which was enormous back in the day, because since then we've actually doubled this figure per year. But yeah, it was the first year that we actually really started to recruit, and they actually offered me this opportunity to really go and develop another skill. I stayed there for a bit less than 5 years in the recruitment, where I actually had, if I could say, several careers, because this is really something that's really awesome in the company. So I started to learn actually how to conduct an interview. Then I developed the whole recruitment strategy, portfolio skills, if I could say, and then joined the team that was working on the implementation of our new HRIS system for the recruitment part. And I started also the recruitment figures follow-up. So all the reportings linked to how many recruitments have we done, how many job have we opened, how long do we need to fill in this kind of positions in the business. So all of this data part, if I could say. And then after that, I had the opportunity, another one, to move to the L&D department, learning and development, which is the department I'm in at the moment. It's been 4.5 years, and I would say actually same as in the recruitment. I think I'm at my, I don't know, maybe third or fourth career within the L&D department, because I started as a project manager, an L&D project manager, and I also had another hat to follow up our partner who is in charge of deploying all the training plan. And then I moved to implementing a new TMS, training management system, which was an opportunity also for us to harmonize our processes at group level, because we moved from having 4 different ways of following up training actions, training developments within the company to then only one. We had a massive round of data migration to be done, because we've migrated all the data for our employees. So digging into those training histories, training records, we actually found some training records of people that started being trained in MBDA before I was even born. So that was a massive amount of work done by all the teams in the different countries. And this is, I think, where I really get to learn all the data language, because it was a really, really handful exercise. And I learned that actually some of things that I was doing more because it seems not that stupid to do it like this was actually really existing, like a really scientific field. And I just fall in love with this field. And at the end of the project, my boss said, okay, so what do you want to do? And I said, okay, I want to do this. I want to move to data because this is the future for HR. We have massive amount of data in L&D. We have massive amount of data in recruitment. Been there, seen that. I think if we can cross that, we could actually support both the client, the business partner that we have internally in HR, because having been also a business partner, I would actually have loved to have all of those data already crossed for me. And then having all of those information, we could actually develop a specific way for the business to be way more agile, to actually have a better understanding on the skills that we have within the company and how to use it, how to already put in place some action plans to really develop key skills or skills that will be key for us in the future, starting today. And
Already,
this is where I am today.
I'm so much looking forward to our discussion around how HR can be of more benefit to the business side. I'm really looking forward to that and the data discussion. However, I need to ask you one thing before we dive into this. Well, you mentioned well, as a rather established organization, you doubled in size. You then, well, suddenly had to recruit so many more people. How did you do that back then? Since well, for an established institution that hires, let's say, a few people every year, and then to quickly accelerate to scale like a startup, that's not trivial.
It's not. I think we had a really, really great team at the time. We had also the support of everybody to do it. And when I say everybody, I mean everybody in the business was here to support us, either to help us find people we were looking for with the cooptation program that we set in place, or to just give us a hand, for instance, when we were going on the different, I was going to say school fair, I'm not sure it translates really well, but in France there is some openings, some open days in different schools, engineering schools, or bachelor schools, where actually as recruitment, we just go present the activities, what we do, how great the company is to really attract people. And we had really, really massive help from employees, from managers to come with us to explain it also to future newcomers. Because let's face it, when we are actually a young engineer still in school, we prefer talking with the real guy, the one that's actually doing the job on a day-to-day basis, rather than the HR. So yeah, we had massive help from everybody to do that. We also restructured our processes. We automate them as much as possible. We had a massive work on all the tools that we were using. We linked them to be able to have even or the most that we can automation, to limit the number of time that we have to copy and paste information from one tool to the others, because I should have mentioned that from because of the sector we operate, we have really strong security constraints, especially around tools that are not built by us. So For instance, when we use a SaaS software, we need to be able to have authorizations, to link it to internal tools. So we needed to really work a lot to make those links as seamless as possible, to ensure we could gain time from a human point of view as recruiter, of the recruitment team, so we could actually then focus more on the applicants and the interviews and all the added value that we would have, to also manage the contracts, manage the welcoming, ensure that every candidate that would come to see us for an interview would actually have the best time of their life. It's a bit cheesy, I know, but this was really something that is really important for us.
Aurélie, I'm so curious to learn your experience when it comes to data in the HR field. And I'm wondering, since well, you already mentioned, okay, well, as a defense company, you are bound by specific laws. There are much stricter rules in place, which is indeed a challenge when it comes to big data, since many of the big data tools might be available. However, it's rather difficult for you guys to use those.
It is, but in the meantime, it's what makes it even more fun, if I could say. Well, we do have the security constraints that comes with the sector, the defense sector we're working in. I would lie if I would say that it's easy every day and that it's like we were actually working, I don't know, in any other kind of industry. It's not. But in the meantime, knowing that we are working in this industry is also for me very very fulfilling, if I could say, because it really means that I could serve also my country, my countrymen. So sometimes, yes, it's a bit more difficult to have access to specific tools or to have access to um, some platforms or things like that. But in the meantime, we also have very dedicated security teams that are here to help us. And I mean, for instance, the project I'm in at the moment, which is more or less putting AI on employees' data. When I came to them, they said, "Ooh, yes, are you really sure that you want to do that?" And said, "Yes, because this is everything that we could gain for the business." And they say, "Okay, fair enough. Let's do it together." And because we are working hand in hand in this topic, every time that we reach a crossroads, when we could say, okay, we would need this, they say, okay, you can't have this, but this is the option I could offer that could maybe give not exactly the same benefits, but that could be close enough. What do you think? And then we exchange and we can build it together. So it's really nice.
Um, I'm wondering, is that yet several times now that, well, the data that HR has, that HR collects, is very valuable for the business. Why? What is valuable in the HR data for the business?
That's really nice question. Really good question. I would say everything is important about employee data for the business, because the business is actually made about people. So it's how can we already use those information that we know about our employees, about how they learn, about how they want to evolve, how they want to develop their skills, about all of that. That's because we can then identify some patterns. We would be able to answer much more precisely their own needs, or to individualize the answer for them. So this is the development answer. Then we would have also the legal answer. We do have some ESG reports, CSRD reports, all of those reports that are also about employees, how we take care of them, how we handling learning, how we managing diversity, inclusion, equality, all of those questions also will have to be answered with then employee data.
I find that incredibly interesting, given, well, I'm obviously someone who studied business, then joined the HR space exactly for those reasons. And well, it's the human capital that makes a company successful or that causes a company to fail. So therefore, really, we need to dive in very deep here when it comes to data, how data can help from the HR data can help business to be more successful. So you mentioned learning and development as one field, reporting as another field, and then also talent management. So finding out whether people are best suited for the job they are working in at the moment, or whether they should actually consider looking for different areas to work in. Do you think that is kind of like a comprehensive overview, or how's your perspective on that?
What do you mean about the
So
goal perspective?
So is it so do you think if you describe the relevance for the relevance of the HR data for business, and if you cluster the data and the analysis and the results from the data into the groups learning and development, talent management, and also reporting, do you think this is a comprehensive overview clustering in those three fields, or what do you think about where HR can have a significant impact using data for the business?
Okay, got the question. Thank you. I believe data is around us and is actually a really powerful tool to serve the business, to serve HR serving the business. For me, it's not clustering data to link it to L&D, to link it to talent management, to recruitment, and to link it at some point, making those cluster. For me, the whole objective of data, of HR data, of people analytics, to be more precise, is actually how can we structure this massive database, if I could say, about those people data, so that every function could use those information based on what they are the best suited for to support the business. So, for instance, when I'm in a business partner role, in HR business partner, I don't really care which department is going to give me this information or this other information. When I'm in front of a manager or an employee or a director, and they ask me a question, I don't want to have to ask 3 or 4, 5 different departments in HR to be able to answer this question. Or when I'm meeting with an employee and I'm actually discussing about their future, their evolution in the company, the skills that they should develop, I don't want to have to search in different tools to see, okay, this is the specific job that you could apply, this is a specific training that you could follow, this is a specific expert that you could talk to, this is the conference that you could attend. I would actually like to have one place or one information that could gather it all. And for me, this is where the power of data arrives for HR, for the business, because it will give us as a function all the agility and adaptability that we need to actually make our exchanges with the business much more efficient. And it will also allow us as a function to be able to focus much more on those added value conversations that we have with employees, with managers, with directors, instead of just looking for information on different systems. So it's how can we use data, technology, to do some research and to search around all the database that exists in the company to support us doing the added value job.
I spoke to an HR leader very recently who said the following, which stuck with me quite a bit. HR currently defines itself as like a service provider. So helping out when it comes to payroll, helping out when it comes to questions around policy, supporting. However, HR has such a massive amount of valuable data about people's development, about people's anxieties, perhaps about everything that that stops a person from being the very best, being the very productive, that HR needs to switch entirely in terms of like, hey, we are not a service provider, we are a partner for the business side to do exactly this, use all the data we have, all the data we collect for exactly this purpose.
Yes, exactly. Fully agree.
Since
I think,
sorry if I may, since it completely changes the value proposition, right? So as a service provider, you're just a cost center that is like kind of there. However, it doesn't really create value. If you have all the data available, and if you can use all the data, you will then completely shift into a profit center that helps the entire organization to grow and to become much more productive.
yeah, fully agree. I think for many years, and for instance, in some companies still, and we are also moving. HR has been considered as a support function. So me business, I'll tell you to do and you execute. As you said, has been considered as a service provider. I would really, really challenge this view because more and more we can see that having this strong HR function that knows the business, that understands what's happening in the business, because it knows its people, it knows how those people feel, learn, work, are in which conditions they are more efficient to work, with what kind of team they are more efficient to work. With all of those information, I think this is how we can move definitely to a bit more of a sparring partner, if I could say, to actually build this project, build those teams that will actually deliver this project. And for me, this is the whole big picture about having this people analytics function in place in a business, is having all of those small information compiling with each other, and then defining those patterns to really identify how we could support the business being more efficient on all of those different projects that we need to deliver. This is really key for me to move and to understand. But sometimes it's also, I think, and I believe, from a mindset point of view. It's also how do we want to exchange on that. It's not just a tool or a technology or a fashion style or some buzzwords or things like that. It's also how do we want to interact, and it's how can we also, from both individual point of view and function point of view, feel more, if I could say, even much more comfortable with all of those discussions that we need to have with the business. Some of them are really easy discussions. We all know all of them. Small talk, everything is going good, and all of that. Some of them is more like, guys, you are, for instance, a CFO expert in finance. You are an engineer expert on technical stuff. Sorry, I'm HR expert on people stuff. And at this stage, this is the impact of all these decisions. So should we want to have actually the best triptych, not sure the word translates, but should we have the best way to interlink all of those decisions? I think this is how we can really build an even much more agile business, much more agile teams, much more performing teams.
Well, I think what you just said with regards to mindset is actually a real issue. I think, given, well, very often when HR joins the discussion, well, many people from the business side are like, hey, yeah, sure, you might have interesting interesting numbers on, I don't know, time to hire, but well, I care about other things. I care about other numbers, and what do you bring to the table? um, I think then, first of all, one needs to make sure that you implement the infrastructure, that you gather all the important data, and then as a second step, well, get the analysis right. And then as a third step, to communicate all these numbers to the business side, and to make sure that, well, people value the contribution.
Yeah, I would actually challenge even a bit more this view, saying that from my point of view, what HR would bring to the table is all the insights from everything that you said, because collecting the data, structuring it, making it, applying the right technology on it, making it talk and everything is really important. I mean, trust me, this is something that we are working on really, really hard. This is the first steps. But for me, this is just what it is, a first step. The next step, and what we can really bring to the table as HR, is all of those insights from those data. Because, for instance, saying, okay, we have, for instance, gender diversity splits, 23, 24% of female in the company. This is not enough. This is lacking. We should move much more to find more females to hire and all of that. Fair enough. But because from an HR point of view, we have this understanding, we know what those 23, 24% means. Because at this stage, for instance, we can't hire more female, for instance, for the business if there is no more female applicants. And there can't be more female applicants within the company if there is no more female applicants in the schools that actually are preparing for job in the company. So this is actually all of this link, all of this value chain link, if I could say, that gathering those data could bring. But then it's also it also needs for me an HR person to really derive insight and explanation and have all of these people analytics way on view on how to make this data talk.
Well, the mindset shift, sorry. Well, when it comes to the mindset shift, there's also the issue of, well, I want this. I want to be the person who communicates with the business side very openly and who is eager to present his or her numbers, rather than, hey, it's also comfy in that niche of a service center because no one bothers you. You don't cause any arguments, and it's cozy, right? But when you step out there and tell people, hey, there are things in your teams that don't work well. We have analysis that predict, in several of your teams, there is like a lot of workload at the moment, and we might see resignations very soon, and turnover to increase. That's not necessarily something you want to hear, right? But you need to hear as a business leader.
I think there's two sides on this one. There is some obvious discussions, hard discussion to have when you're HR, because we are the if I could say the go-between employees and business at some point. I don't want to use the word referee, because for me it's not a match, but it's how to facilitate sometimes those exchange. So sometimes we need to have a hard conversation with employees, sometimes with the business, sometimes with both of them. Most of the time, at least in MBDA, with none of them, and it's just exchange. It doesn't have to become and not that often that it becomes a hard conversation, because most of the time it's more finding a solution that could fit everybody. So understanding actually what is the best element for everyone is for me the key. So understanding from a data point of view what is the best element for everybody facilitates also those exchanges. Um, for instance, I remember when I was few years ago, if I could say, in a previous life, I had some conversation with a whole team. So there was the manager and the whole team, and because I actually knew parts of the team, I had some information that the manager, I think, did not really have. But because I was also discussing with the manager, I had information that the team did not have. So actually discussing all together in the same room, saying, okay, I'm not here to be on either of you, on neither side. Actually, the objective is to find a way for the whole team to work together within the framework given by the manager. Because let's face it, guys, your manager is also an employee, so he also has a framework, and his manager also have a framework, and at some point we all have a framework to actually play in. Even us as HR have a framework to play in. So at this stage, the right direction is the direction to actually do something good for the company, because at the end we all work for the company. So would this actually direction fit everybody? And at some point we managed to find an understanding to really keep moving forward. And then it's how do you keep all those discussion going on, and then at some points to just exchange based on those then data information that would facilitate, because it sometimes also um, remove all of those feelings or emotional reaction that we could have in a specific stressful situation.
Well, already, what are your recommendations for listeners who share your view, however, may work in an organization that, well, struggles with consolidating data, with getting, well, setting up the right analysis tools for all the data that is then collected? What are the first steps to take?
Wow. Good question. Um, for me, when we want to embark on this people analytics journey, it's really important to make sure that everybody that will be in the same boat than you will have the same view, to ensure that everybody is just pushing in the same direction, because this is for me the way that we will be able to onboard everybody. And it takes time, it takes patience, but from what I can see from experience, the more that we talk about it, the more it raises question, and the more it raises question, the more people feel empowered to talk about it, and then raising other questions, and so on and so on, and become a virtual cycle. Um, for me, it's really going to explaining what we do, explaining what we can get from that, because at some point when we work for a company, if there is one thing that we want the company to do is succeed and get benefits, both because we are working for the company, and because then we could also benefit from it from uh, development opportunities within the company. Um, so yeah, for me, it's really ensuring that we are going in the same direction, we have the same view. I think it's from a buzzword point of view called literacy, how to become literate in those new topic. It's really, I think, key to start talking about that, because at this stage, more and more, when we, especially from an HR hat point of view this time, when we uh, finish up our HR school at some point, now we do have some some really high level layer understanding of what is people analytics, what is data at school. But I don't believe I'm old. But when I finished school, I did not have this kind of layer at school. So we are actually also seeing a really huge gap between understanding from what we've seen at school, even just 5, 10 years ago, and what is seen now, and how those skills for HR are actually evolving. So for me, the first step is really to, well, obviously after validating with the key stakeholders that it's the right direction to go. But yeah, it's really how to make sure that we all speak the same language within HR. One of the really best memory I have so far presenting it. I was invited by the French HR director to present what is data basically to the whole HR in France, just to give a quick overview of what it is and how we can use it in HR. What does it mean for us as a function? Because it can be sometimes also a bit scary for
Mhm.
people. We say, okay, we'll just automate, we'll just put AI on everything that we do, and this, and this just poof disappear because it will be automated. So no more Excel spreadsheet, no more this, no more that. I think everybody heard that, especially if you open your TV in the morning and you have any newspaper that actually, well, news feeds that is actually airing. But the thing is, in an HR function, we've been doing data for decades because we've been creating, we've been filing, we've been collecting, structuring, cleaning all of those information for years. The only thing is that now we have a bit more technology to make it talk a bit um, more in depth. So actually explaining people that we could put technology in every and anything, but if we do not have those data cleaned, so if we do not have those people that actually input the data in our own system, then it doesn't mean anything. So actually, even from a people analytics point of view, or data, or technology, AI, whatever, the first key input is actually the people. So I would say win the people, and then you can start playing with people analytics.
Well, I find what you say so interesting that, well, in particular in the age of AI, people will become so much more important since knowledge is basically available everywhere all the time, while attitude and spirit and motivation, that's actually the key differentiating factor for the next few years. So therefore, well, all the HR data will be even more important since many of these other skills are no longer that relevant.
I wouldn't say no longer that relevant, because for me, AI or Gen AI, and mostly Gen AI, because um, what most of the time when we open TV or when we just hear about AI um, today, it's more about Gen AI, especially since 2022 with ChatGPT airing. Um, but for me, it won't replace knowledge. It won't replace us as human knowing things. On the contrary, it will allow people who would know things to gain time producing some content, because they would know when the machine will get it wrong, because actually the machine gets it wrong a lot of time, or is imprecise and all of this. So it would allow people who know what they are talking about to gain time moving forward, automating things for them. But it will definitely not replace them. It will support finding some literature, but it will not read it for you. It will not learn it for you. It will not make it usable for you. So as human, for me, I think the key things for the future is staying curious, because this is this human creativity, human agility, human minds that will never be replaced by the machine. But because maybe we can use the machine, we can free a bit of this bandwidth from our own human brain to spend it more on curiosity, to gain more time to, okay, I've managed to automatize this this research on my day-to-day job, so it gains me 10 minutes a day. Okay, it's not a lot, 10 minutes, but could be actually just the time I need to read an article in a topic I did not know about. So it just gives me a bit more time to learn something else and capitalize then on this new learning. It allows me to be a bit more curious. It gives me back more time to really move forward on those development activities.
Really, I have two last questions for you. So first one, when looking ahead, how do you picture HR in 5 years' time?
I think in 5 years' time, HR. Well, I would hope actually that in 5 years' time, HR as a whole, as a function, globally, worldly speaking, if I could say, would have taken the technology turn, moving more to automation, moving more to technology, and how to use actually the technology for us to support us rather than to be used by the technology. So for me, it's this will be key on how we can, both at individual and collective level, find a way to upskill and reskill everybody using these new technologies, so we could understand better what they do, how they do it, and how could we use those technology to work for us. I think this is the key stuff for me.
Cool. My last question is the following. So since you worked in recruiting yourself for quite many years, what are your favorite job interview questions?
Oof, job interview questions. That's been years. I haven't. Well, to be fair, I'm not in recruitment anymore. But I think my favorite question was why are we meeting?
Oh, that's amazing.
That was actually for me the question that said it all, because we were talking about curiosity, we were talking about understanding, wanting to understand. So at some point, depending on how people would answer this question, I would say, okay, are they really going to be courageous enough to understand how we are working within the company? Because we're a bit on a specific sector, we do need people to be curious. So I think, yeah, why are we meeting was one of my favorite. Which one?
This is actually a very telling question indeed. So I love that one a lot. Okay. Awesome. Aurélie,
Yeah.
thank you so much for your time. It was amazing talking to you. Thanks. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Benjamin, for having me. Thank you very much.
And thanks to you all for listening in, and see you next time.